Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? All right, good afternoon, Ogbao. So let's get started. So today is the 12th of September 2024, and we're having our Pre-New York session analysis just at 12:33 p.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, we have quite a number of fundamental events this afternoon, and quite a number of them, all fundamental. And the first one we have by 1:15 p.m., which is less than 45 minutes from now. Good afternoon, Madam Onaji. We have the main refinancing rate and monetary policy statement, both from the Eurozone by 1:15 p.m. So we have the forecast. We're going to be expecting the actual, for the main refinancing rate. The monetary policy statement is a speech, so there's nothing like forecast or any actual being expected. Then by 1:30 p.m., there'll be core PPI from the United States, PPI and unemployment claims, all of them from the United States by 1:30 p.m. And by 1:45 p.m., again from the Eurozone, we have the European Central Bank press conference. And by 3:25 p.m., we have the SNB chairman, Jordan, who will give a speech from Switzerland. And 6 p.m., we have the 30-year bond auction from the United States. So basically, the two main currency pairs that we're moving this session based on these fundamental events is the euro and the US dollar. Those are the two major, pairs that we expect a lot of volatility from. Now, for the main refinancing rate from the Eurozone by 1:15 p.m., if the actual comes out greater than the forecast, then we're expecting a bullish movement from the euro pairs. Now, when actual is greater than forecast, the data will be released in green color, and this will lead to a bullish movement, on the euro pairs. And if the actual is less than the forecast, then we have the outcome in red. So we have the outcome in red, and it's expected to lead to a decline in price. And for the dollar event, now the three of them will be released simultaneously. And if the actual is greater than forecast, the data will all be green. And that will lead to a massive bullish movement on the US dollar. And again, if the data is bad for the dollar, then the data will come out in red and we'll expect a decline in the US dollar. Now, there's PPI, there's core PPI, PPI, and unemployment claims. So the PPI and the unemployment claims, they don't really look related. So it's possible to have maybe the PPI to be green and the unemployment coming out to be, PPI coming out to be red, unemployment claims coming out to be green. In such instance, we say that it can lead to a conflict where we have a buy and sell simultaneously. And it's also possible to have a scenario where we have maybe one of them to be green while the other one is black. That's a case of actual equal to forecast. Now we may end up with the bullish volatility, but the black, may also mean that the volatility may not be so much. These are all the possible scenarios. But the best of all these scenarios is to have a green for a buy or a red for a sell. Now, the other ones we have the European Central Bank conference. That is not likely to be tradable, though it may affect the market. But I would encourage that you take a lot of caution around euro pairs by 1:45 p.m. Same thing, the SNB chairman Jordan speech by 3:25 p.m. Not really tradable. Also, just make sure you take a lot of caution. When we use the word take caution, we mean to have your risk management in place. And finally, by 6 p.m., we have the 30-year bond auction from the United States. Now, as a day trader, you may likely not be in the market at that time. So our focus this afternoon is really going to be on the event from the Eurozone and the dollar between 1:15 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. That's where our emphasis is going to be on. So I'll switch now to the MetaTrader so that we look at the technical projections in the market ahead of these news events. So since we have a lot of events from the United States and the Euro, I'll be looking at the Euro pairs and the dollar, and even specifically Euro USD. So for the dollar, we still hold a bullish outlook on the dollar, and for USD CHF, it has already started moving in a bullish direction, which we analyzed earlier at the beginning of the week. So at the moment, it's also trading around an inner resistance level. You can clearly see we have a resistance here, and price is trading around that level. If the news comes out good for the dollar, then dollar will continue moving, in its original bullish trend, which has been established. And if the news comes out bad for the dollar, that means price is unable to break this resistance zone, and we might experience a decline back towards the trend line. So for the dollar, we're actually in between. Here, we cannot say categorically it's a buy or a sell. It all depends on what the market brings out. So the only thing we can tell you is that if the news comes out good for the dollar, then we might experience a breakout above this range here, above the recent high of the USD CHF. That can give us a buy above this zone. And if the news comes out bad, we may experience a sell below this zone. So that's all I can give you concerning the USD CHF. Now I checked the GBP USD. Now for the GBP USD, I actually hold a bullish outlook pending any other change in the market. And I have my reasons for that. Number one, we have a resistance turn support on the GBP USD. We have a resistance. Price broke through that resistance, became a support. Technically, we're expecting a bullish continuation. Not only that, the candle that closed yesterday was more of a kind of rejection candle, which also could encourage a technically bullish pound. So if the news comes out bad for the dollar, then we should see a bullish breakout on the GBP USD. For the Euro USD as a currency pair, to be honest, it's just undecisive at the moment, even though there's a fundamental event ahead. So this one can go either ways, just like what we saw with the USD CHF. If the news comes out good for the dollar, then Euro USD may drop to this confluence zone. Now, you can say I have a channel, up there, an ascending channel, where price has made a series of higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, then continuation. So the next wave we're expecting on the Euro USD is to drop to this higher low. And this higher low will be a confluence with the previous resistance. It will be a confluence with the previous resistance level. So if the news comes out good for the dollar, then we may just find an opportunity to sell down to this zone on the Euro USD. Now, when price touches that level, then technically we should expect the next wave move up. But that's more of a medium-term event. What we're out for now is to know if price will be good for the dollar so that Euro USD can drop to a sell zone, which is a confluence level. Now, if the news turns out bad for the dollar, then we may see some bullish movement on the Euro USD if the news turns out to be bad, for the dollar. I think that's just all I want to show you now for the news we are expecting. Just like I said, we are in between on the GBP, on the USD CHF and the Euro USD. But GBP USD is a bit more clearer. For the GBP USD, if the news comes out bad for the dollar, we're expecting a bullish movement. This one is more direct compared to the USD CHF and the Euro USD. So we're looking out for a scenario where the actual is less than the forecast for us to buy the GBP USD. Now, there are some technical events that are unfolding. Now, some of them are swing, and it may take some time before they finally evolve. Like the JPY pairs, I don't know if you can still work this week. We'll let you know. If not, maybe from next week, we will still expect a massive bullish breakout on the JPY pairs. I'm seeing a lot of setup ready, getting ready, but they are more swing related at the moment. Like the New Zealand JPY, I can clearly see, price forming a confluence. You can see the channel on the weekly time frame, channel on the weekly, a support also on the weekly. Currently, we are having what looks a lot like a rejection candle, and this equally is forming a double bottom pattern, which will lead to a bullish continuation. And that's on the weekly. If you zoom down to the 4-hour, this is what we have. We have a falling wedge pattern right here. From where price has broken out in the real sense, but we expect some retracement before we have a further continuation. And at the point of breakout, our RSI should be clearly above 50 and possibly our MACD above 0 for us to trigger a buy. But let's just watch out as it plays. If it works out before the week runs out, we'll let you know. Otherwise, we're having a very perfect setup for next week, and this can give a profit potential in the range of between 120 to about 200 pips, in the coming days ahead. Okay, I'll check. I have some requests here, which I'll check as we round up. New Zealand USD, Mr. Olabi. New Zealand USD, to the best of my knowledge, has done its course. This is a trade call or a trade setup that, has met the expectation. You can see on the weekly time frame there was a descending trend line, and I think there was a rejection candle somewhere here, and we've seen the decline. We've seen the expected decline on this instrument. And price already has hit Fibonacci 50. So it has hit 50, except if the news this afternoon comes out to favor the dollar, well, maybe we may see further decline. But technically, there's no trade setup on this instrument at the moment. There's no trade setup on this instrument at the moment. Only if the news favors the dollar, we may just experience some, minor decline as we wait later on for a new setup altogether. US 30. All right, so for US 30, price is trading around the resistance level at the moment. There's a 4-hour time frame. You can see we have a resistance zone there. Now, if there's sufficient volatility, price may break above that zone for a buy. Otherwise, we may expect, a breakout below. So we're in a range. A breakout above is a buy. A breakout below the range is a sell. That's my view on the US 30. Euro USD. I've given my view on Euro USD, Mr. Sonny. We don't have any direct setup on Euro USD. wherever the dollar goes, determine what happens to the Euro USD. If the news comes out good for the dollar, then Euro USD will sell. If the news comes out bad for the dollar, Euro USD will buy. NAS 100 and BTC. NAS 100 also has had a major move, this week. This is a 4-hour time frame. All right, so for NAS 100, this is my view. You can see we have a descending trend line right there. If price hits this trend line, there's a tendency for a reversal to happen if price hits that trend line, because we have a descending trend line right there. So that's what we can just patiently wait for. Price hit the trend line, and we expect a decline. So this is a 4-hour setup. We can now zoom down to maybe 15 minutes or 1 hour to look for entry. But the first thing is price hitting the trend line, then a decline afterwards. So that's my outlook on NAS 100. BTC. Now, BTC might be forming an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which might take it, higher. That's the daily time frame. But that may take some time in the real sense, but that's just the pattern I see evolving. And if we go on the 4-hour time frame, it's still the same thing. This will be the shoulder, the head, then another shoulder and a breakout. So I will encourage, and if you see patterns are being repeated, we have this pattern here, and it has been repeated here. So we may end up also having this side. Now, this thing happens a lot. I'm not saying it's a must 100%, but it does happen that way sometimes. So that may give us some decline. That all I'm saying is that there's no clear trade yet until these patterns form. There's no clear trade yet, except if there's just a massive breakout around this region. If we take that, that's the neckline region, except there's just a volatility that can break out straight from here. Otherwise, if we want to just complete that other pattern, like I've said. But technically, I'm bullish on the BTC USD. No matter what it's doing, I'm still technically bullish on the BTC. The view on AED/USD has not gone bearish as expected. USD/CHF is having a retest now, but what can you say about CAD JPY? Yes, AED/USD, the setup was not bad. It's the dollar. Dollar, I think ahead of this election, dollar is not just giving the right level of volatility. You can see it's been doing more of a range. There's nothing wrong with the setup. It was a head and shoulder. But then price entered a range. You can see that currently is retesting the previous support, strong resistance, which technically should lead to a decline. But at this stage, I don't know whether that will happen. It all depends on if there's sufficient volatility on the dollar to push things down. If the news favors the dollar this afternoon, well, that's just some minutes from now, we may see a decline on Euro USD. It's all on probabilities though. It's all on probabilities. We don't move the market. We wait for the market and the market is not moving in a direction, there's really nothing you can do. But technically, there was nothing wrong with the setup or the call on the AUD USD. USD CHF is having a retest now. Yes, I already mentioned that. So, but then it's still dependent on what the outcome of the news is. That's what will determine the next move of both the USD CHF and the USD. Yeah, USD CHF and the AUD USD. What can you say about KGPY? Now, KGPY is already in a bullish trend. It's bullish, though it's experiencing a kind of a decline. Sorry, a retracement. The trend already is bullish. Now, take note of my words. I did not say enter a buy. That you have a trend does not mean it's time to enter a trade. Why did I say it's bullish? We have a valid support level right there on the weekly time frame. Very valid support all through here. And that's where price is at the moment. You can still see, if you push it down a little, we have a support. And the candle yesterday was a rejection candle. So technically, we should have, a bullish movement. But I would rather advise for this JPY pairs that you look towards trading it as a swing. They are all better off being traded as a swing than day trade, because there is not much stability around the day trade at the moment. If you check even this card JPY, the current candle to this candle is already looking as if it's trying to form a rejection candle, even though the trend is bullish. That means it's possible for price to come and retest that support before going further. And if you want to do day trade with these pairs, you may get a serious whipsaw. So my advice for the JPY pairs for now is to trade them swing. Now, this is a 4-hour time frame. Price may drop to this support level. And if that happens, it will have formed the perfect inverse head and shoulder for a much more better breakout next week. I see this happening more next week. The JPY pairs, I actually see them happening more of next week. They are more of trade for next week. So it requires you to be patient if you want to trade this, because it's possible there might be a decline before the final reversal. So I hold on to my bullish outlook on the card JPY. Okay, I think I've attended to virtually I'm on a sell on BTC, Madam Onaji. Okay, you say you're on a sell on BTC. Well, that really depends on many factors now. Though currently price, seems to be testing the trend line, which is acting as a neckline region, like I mentioned earlier. Price is testing it at the moment. It's possible to have a kind of a retracement. It's a possibility. If it happens that way and it's able to clear some of the negatives, then that may be a good one. But I still strongly believe price may break out with time. So just manage the trade accordingly with that information. Okay, I think that'll be all from me this afternoon. Okay, I attended the last one. GBP News Land from this person. That's Ekwe Ambassador. Now, there was a slight bearish movement on this instrument about yesterday or so. And currently price is retesting. Now, if you are already on a trade on this, if it's a sell trade, I will advise you to leave it. Otherwise, I wouldn't encourage anyone to trade this instrument. It can be extremely volatile, But currently, we are seeing a retest. We can see a rejection candle touching the trend line. That can lead to some slight decline. So if you're already on a sell, you can leave it. But if you're not on a trade, I will not encourage you to take a sell on this one at the moment. It's not a perfect entry like that, but just for someone who have already been on the trade. No, we're not having a live training session this afternoon. I mean, excuse me, I'm in a physical training in Lagos. We just have to take a break so that we can take this class. We only have live sessions for NFP and CPI. All right, so that'll be all from me this afternoon. Trade safe and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.